Here's some ideas on how to structure your day for maximum productivity, performance, and output. Benny from Facebook recently asked me, how do you structure your day? So here are some tips to help you structure your day to be more productive and successful. Number one, every minute spent in planning saves 10 minutes in execution or getting the job done. So the most important thing you can do is plan your day, preferably the night before. Sit down with a piece of paper and write down everything that you have to do the coming day. It should be the last thing you do at the end of the day. Now, if for any reason you don't do this, then the first thing you do in the morning, before you check your email, your phone calls, newspapers, first thing you do in the morning is make a list of everything that you have to do that day. Once you have a list, you have a track to run on. Writing down a list clarifies your thinking. Writing down a list forces you to think at a higher level. If you start working from a list, you increase your productivity and output by 25% the first day. All successful people work from lists, and all successful people, with regard to their projects, work from checklists. A checklist is a list of everything organized in sequence, and you go down the checklist. Now, the second way that you can organize your day is to set priorities on your list before you begin. Don't just rush into it. Look over the list and apply the 80-20 rule. If you have 10 items to do on your list, 2 will be more valuable than the other 8 put together. Sometimes it's the 90-10 rule. If you have 10 items on your list, 1 will be more important than all the others put together. Go down your list and ask yourself this question. If I could only do one thing on this list before I was called out of town for a month, what one task would I want to be sure to complete? Now, in my life, I'm called out of town for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, sometimes a month, all the time. Last fall, I was out of town and traveling in 15 countries over 36 days. So I have to look at my work list before I go, and I have to get my most important tasks done. So once you identify this task, this leads to the next way to organize your day, is begin immediately on your most important task, and then stay with it until it's complete. All of success in life comes from project completion. It comes from taking jobs, and a project is called a multitask job. It means there's several little jobs within the larger job. And what you do is you organize your projects by sequence, the checklist, and then you start on your most important project, and then you stay with that project until it's complete. This process is called single handling. It's the most powerful success strategy that you can use in managing your time. You can actually increase your productivity by 50% by simply starting and completing your most important task first thing every day. So if you can do those 3 things, start with a list, organize the list by priority, and then start on and complete your most important task, you can double and triple your productivity, sometimes almost overnight.
Hi, I'm Antonio Centeno. I'm the founder of Real Men, Real Style. Today, gentlemen, we're going to talk about how to prioritize. I'm going to introduce you to the priority matrix, aka the Eisenhower matrix. I've heard it called many things. Many authors have used it, from Steve Covey to Brett McKay. I've seen it all over the place. I'm going to link over in the comments down below. I'm going to link over to Real Men, Real Style, where I've got a free PDF version of this that you can download. It's a blank sheet. You can print it off. You can have it on your computer. But most importantly, you can use this to prioritize the things in your life. Because if you're anything like me, you have hundreds of items on your to-do list. And if you started at the top and you just worked your way down, yes, you could get things done, but is that going to be effective? Are you going to be like a hamster on a hamster wheel just knocking through things, but you're not doing what's important, or you're not doing what's urgent, and in a sense you're leaving on, you're just not getting done what is important and what is urgent? So I'll get into all those things here in the matrix, and that's what I love about it. It helps to organize so you can take everything off that to-do list, put it into the matrix, and very quickly identify, okay, this is urgent and not important, and even though it feels like I need to do it because it's not important, I can put it, we're not worried about it for now. I would like to hear from you guys in the comments down below what you think of this video, if you found the download PDF useful, and maybe you can tell me about something in your life that is disguising itself as not important, but urgent. This is one of my favorite categories because I think that for most people, they struggle with this, but I'll get into that here in a second. What is the priority matrix? So the priority matrix, if you can imagine a square, we're going to have 4 sections of it. And the first section is going to be important and urgent. Then over to the right of that, we're going to have not urgent and important. Then to the below it, going right below it, we're going to have not important, and we're going to have urgent and not important, not urgent. So as you can imagine, important and urgent are going to be the things that you want to focus in on first. These are things that have a deadline, and it's very important. There's going to be a high return on investment, or you've made a commitment to knock through them. I'll give you an example. This weekend, I had a dance competition my children were in. So both my daughter and my son, they dance together. They do ballroom dancing. My son's 10, my daughter is 6 years old. And they're out there, and it's important and it's urgent. So I had to make time for it. I had to make sure we had hotel arrangements, that we've got food taken care of, that the van, everything is stocked up, ready to go, that we're fully packed. Because if I don't get that done, we could miss the event. And that is something, it's important because that's my family. That's what I live for. That's who I'm about. That's very important, and that was very urgent. There are other things in your business. If you're going to do a product launch, if you're going to be putting out a new course, if there are things in your company that you just need to get done because they're going to make payroll, and anyone that runs a company understands that, yes, there are things that are nice to do, but if they don't bring in money to the company, you can do them all day, but your people that work for you aren't going to understand when you're not able to pay them because you're not able to make payroll. So those are things which are urgent and important. Sales and things that have a deadline usually are going to fit into this category. The danger here is that we think many things fall into this category when they don't. They should actually fall into the urgent and non-important category, which I'll get into next. So I'm going to go a little bit down, and I think it's important to hit this one because this is the most deceptive category out there. And I'm talking urgent and not important. There are so many things which are jumping in front of us, and they're saying, me, give me attention. These are fires that really, they're fires on areas that he doesn't really care if they burn down or not. So social media is one of the biggest culprits here. How many of you guys are just wondering, gosh, I've got to have a social media presence? I mean, you may have one and it may be okay, but do you as the business owner need to be managing it? Maybe it could be you're spending an hour a day on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or any of these other platforms, but are you really building meaningful relationships outside of that? And are the relationships that you're building there? Oftentimes I find social media is a great tool. Don't get me wrong. You can build a lot of very loose relationships, but there's a reason why I go to conferences all over the world multiple times a year, not because I want to be away from my family, but because, well, okay, I'll admit it. I do like occasionally sleeping in a bed and catching up on rest when I go to conferences. But it is something that, I love spending time with my family, and I'm very careful about going away too long. And when I do go, the reason I go is I want to take those online relationships, bring them offline, and really develop strong relationships with people who I'm going to stay in touch with and hopefully either do business with, build a strong friendship with. And that only happens when you go deep. So understand there's a lot of other things out there that are not important and urgent. You get those phone calls, somebody, it's an emergency for them, but it's not an emergency for you. That person that wants to do a deal with your company, or that they want you to come in there and take pictures of their family. My wife is a great photographer. This is on the border because she does view it as important, and we've had this talk, but oftentimes we need to categorize it because it's not as important. It's on the border, I would say. So let's go to the other category, which is not urgent and important. This one is where most of us need to work on, because there are things in here which don't really have a deadline, but over time they're going to become more and more important, and they could turn into fires. One of the big ones is our health. If you're not going to the gym, if you're not eating well, you're stopping at, like McDonald's all the time, understand that that's not good for you. That's not real food that is going to sustain your body. And if you're not taking care of your body, if you're not taking your exercise, you're not eating well, yes, it doesn't feel that urgent. You can get away with it for a while, especially when you're younger. But as time goes on, all of a sudden that's going to become much more urgent, to the point of you're going to go to the doctor and he's going to say you're at risk for a heart attack. You've got high cholesterol. And all of a sudden that's going to become urgent and important. And it would have been better to deal with it when it wasn't as urgent, but it was still very important. Same thing with relationships. Relationships, and I've heard a great analogy. My friend Jordan Harbinger over at The Art of Charm talks about digging the well before you're thirsty. So on any type of relationship, you want to be investing in that relationship before you need to call on it. And I'll even use a personal example. My son, it was something that I felt, he was getting a little bit distant when he was 8, 9 years old. And I realized, I'm working a lot. I'm not around him all the time. We need to have our time. So in the mornings, I started swimming laps with him. All of a sudden, our relationship improved because he knows that he spends those mornings with Dad, that we go to the gym. He likes it. I kind of sneak him in. Technically, you need to be 12 years old to be on the treadmill in our gym, but, no one's there at 5 o'clock in the morning. So, hey, we got the place to ourselves, and we set the rules. And I watch him and observe him. He's not lifting weights or anything like that. You have to wait till he's like 14 or 15 till we get into anything like that. But the point is I realize this should be urgent. And because it's right there in the not urgent, but it's a very high level of importance. And that's what I love about this matrix is I can raise things up on level of importance. And so even though it's far to the right, I can see that daily exercise, time with my kids, time with my wife, self-development, rest, all of these are in the non-urgent category, but they are very important. Same thing with things in my business. I had my StyleCon, which is my conference, over in the not urgent about 10 months ago. And I slowly have been moving it over to urgent. But the great part is because it was up there and I saw it creeping over, that I was always on it. And me and Aaron Marino, we kept going back and forth with phone calls to make sure we were on top of things. Finally, not urgent, not important. Anything that falls in this category, you want to look to either not do and ignore, hand off if it's something that probably would be nice to get done. But these are things that you should probably not be doing unless you've got nothing else to do. And in that case, I don't know, start to meditate or something. Pick up a good exercise, a good habit. But yeah, don't be doing things that are not urgent, not important, because that's a waste of your time.
So, let us show you how you can make the most of your day with these 15 ways to improve your productivity. Number 1, write it down. To-do lists are mandatory for increasing productivity. They get you organized, they allow you to see where your focus should go every day, and they give you a sense of accomplishment when you tick an item off the list. Create a to-do list each night for the upcoming day in order to have a clear image of what needs to be done. This way you won't spend time in the morning trying to decide what task needs to be done first. Number 2, cut down your to-do list. When writing a to-do list, you'll be tempted to add a lot of items that are not necessarily important, and that's why you should take another look at it. A very long to-do list will make you either anxious in the morning or frustrated in the evening when very few things are checked off. Here's what you can do. Choose 1 to a maximum of 3 time-consuming tasks to get done by the next day, and then 3 to 5 less time-consuming ones. You can save an hour a day to deal with small tasks such as reading your emails or returning a phone call. Number 3, stop multitasking. Sometimes it feels like being able to multitask is a must-have skill everyone should accomplish in order to become successful. But the truth is, multitasking is a productivity killer. Multitasking is actually your brain switching very fast from one task to another, and this results in a decrease of up to 40% of your productivity, and studies show it also lowers your IQ. So stop it now. Focus on one task at a time and give it 100%. Number 4, minimize distractions. In order to be able to focus on one task at a time, you have to minimize distractions. You don't need to answer all of your emails or phone calls right away, unless, of course, that's your job. Turn those notifications off. Stop checking Facebook and other social media accounts every 20 minutes, and put your phone on the Do Not Disturb mode while working. You'd be amazed how much work you can get done when you're fully focused. Let your friends, family, and colleagues know about this and tell them not to disrupt you until you've finished your task. Number 5, organize your working space. When everything is in place and your work desk is organized, it's much easier to focus on the task at hand instead of feeling the urge to arrange a pile of sheets or searching for a pen, not knowing where you left it. Lots of people invest a lot of time and money in their workspace, buying expensive desks, fast-going computers, high-quality pens, and so on. The most expensive and luxurious working station at the moment is the Emperor Workspace. It comes with optimized working gear that has everything you need: a comfortable seat, a desk to write on, space to put up monitors, and other features. The price goes from the basic $5,300 to the premium $12,000. Number 6. Track and limit how much time you're spending on tasks. In order to optimize the time you spend on a task, it's very important to track and evaluate your work. Do you spend too much time reading similar articles when doing research? Or maybe you go on Facebook every 15 minutes when you feel like taking a break and end up spending a whole half an hour scrolling through your newsfeed. You can't know how to improve it unless you keep an eye on it. Number 7. Embrace technology. Don't be afraid to use every app and add-on necessary to get your productivity score higher. Track the amount of time spent on each task, create schedules, set up reminders, and work-related notifications. Instead of writing that to-do list on a piece of paper that is easy to misplace, put it on your phone or desktop. Make sure all of these resources you have are at the tip of your fingers. Number 8. Set SMART goals. The SMART acronym stands for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. What this means is when setting up a goal, you have to define it specifically. Set a way to measure the progress on it. Make sure it's realistic and attainable, and set a deadline to it so it doesn't get finished someday. Number 9. Choose your friends wisely. Surround yourself with people that have the same mindset and ambitions as you do, and try working beside them. This way you can motivate each other, brainstorm ideas, and discuss relevant topics that will enrich your knowledge and make you strive harder. It's an important step to follow, so make it your purpose to find people that inspire you to work on and join them. There's this principle called the compound effect that says that no matter how small the effort you make is, if you do it constantly, it adds up, and before you know it, you've mastered a new skill. Think about it this way. By taking 1 hour per day for independent study, that means 7 hours per week and 365 hours in a year. In 3 to 5 years, you can become an expert on a topic of your choice by spending only 1 hour a day on it. Don't know where to start? Pick up a book and start reading. We've gathered a collection of 15 business books everyone should read in this video in the top right corner. Watch it for some inspiration. And if you're thinking that 1 hour per day is not doable, just think about all of the time you waste while commuting. Use that time to read or listen to an audiobook or a podcast of your choice. Trust us, it'll be worth it. Number 11. Develop the habit of saying no. You can't be a yes man or a yes woman, pleasing everyone else's needs and still finish your projects on time. You should get yourself used to saying no to colleagues asking for help because they interfere with your working habits, and this kills productivity. That doesn't mean you should never help anyone, but make sure you do it after you've finished your own tasks. Whenever someone comes asking for a favor you don't have time for, just refuse politely or schedule it for a time when you're less busy. Number 12. Be proactive, not reactive. This one is pretty straightforward and sums up almost everything we've covered so far. Don't let incoming emails or phone calls dictate your day, but instead create a plan ahead and try sticking to it. Get involved in your schedule. Don't let others do it for you. Number 13. Don't get engaged in endless meetings. Meetings are the black hole of productivity because they take up a lot of time and, more often than not, don't come to any conclusion. Avoid meetings that aren't mandatory at all costs, or propose a different way to do it, maybe via a messaging group where everyone can answer when they're less busy. Remember, Bill Gates had 3-minute meetings, and whoever couldn't address a situation in that time frame was left on the outside. He was the richest man in the world for almost 2 decades, so he was certainly onto something. Number 14. Focus on result-oriented activities. Many of the activities we do throughout the day are not urgent and don't usually have a visible impact on our lives. There's this principle called the Pareto principle that states that 80% of our results come from 20% of our actions. What you must do is find the 20% activities that bring you the 80% results and get your main focus there. Number 15. Take care of yourself. Maybe you'd be inclined to think that productivity is just about scheduling and sticking to a plan in order to be efficient in your work, but there's more to it than that. You must invest in all aspects of your life in order to be properly productive. Go to the gym, take care of what you eat, and get enough sleep so you'll feel energized and motivated to work towards your goals. Being productive means living a balanced life, taking regular breaks from work, staying healthy and happy. Nothing beats a positive attitude that comes from living life in harmony.